Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are watching this. Know that I appreciate you. It is I, Jay, and I'd like to welcome you to another day in the daily life of Jay. Today is Tuesday, January 5th of 2021, and it is 8:33 in the a.m., and I am headed to work. Headed to the job. I get to go to work today. Tuesday. It's been an interesting, I swear, as boring as my life is still so very interesting. And I don't know necessarily that that's a good thing. It could be a bad thing. It might just be what my life is, you know? So the husband, as I said in the video yesterday, in the vlog yesterday, the husband was in the hospital. And thankfully they didn't show signs of, or see signs of another stroke, which is something that they were concerned about. But what was explained to me, which I may sound extremely naive, ignorant, maybe even a little stupid in my saying this, but when I think of strokes, I think of, okay, either you have a stroke and there are no side effects or residual effects. You have the stroke, it does what it does in that moment, you heal, you get better. Or you have the stroke and it kills you. Or you have the stroke and there are clearly some physical and psychological differences, such as maybe a limp, or and now that I'm thinking about this, especially now that I'm saying this out loud, it makes great sense. But I think of something a bit more severe. So yesterday, when I was talking with one of the doctors, he explained to me that although they did not see on his CT scan that there was another stroke, they were going to do an MRI to see if maybe there was a stroke that the CT did not catch, or if what he is suffering now is basically the residue of the first stroke that he had just about a year ago. It might have been, it's somewhere around the year mark, either a little bit more or a little bit less. It's somewhere around the year mark that he had what they called a TIA. And essentially, as I explained in a previous video during that time, a TIA is like a pre-stroke. It's a warning sign that there is possibly a bigger stroke coming. It is still a stroke in itself, but it is, it's not major. And what the doctor said to me yesterday was that, and here's the other part of that. Before he had this obvious TIA, he not necessarily lost the feeling in the left side, but his left side began degenerating. And they were wondering then if he had a stroke that we didn't know about, because it started right before he had the TIA. So they were wondering then if maybe he had a stroke, and we didn't know. It was a mild one, but it had an impactful effect on his body. So he had the TIA. His left side got weaker, especially his left leg. The pain increased. It was really very difficult for him at times to walk, which is why he has a cane, which he does not oftentimes use, even though he should, because his left side is so weak. And a lot of times his left side is at its weakest when he first stands up from a sitting position, especially one that he's been in for quite some time. And we're going to do, he and I are actually, we've come to an agreement. We're going to start doing videos together. And when we do that, I will make sure to make you all aware of when that's going to happen and what that's going to be called. Because we did agree that he says he's finally ready to get before the camera and start talking about all of this. But anyway, so all of that said and done, the left side has gotten even weaker than it normally is. So that's why they were looking for signs of another stroke. And again, the doctor said since they didn't see it at the CT, the MRI they're hoping gives them some more insight. Because even though it may not be another stroke, it very well could be that his body is still degenerating. It still has the residue of the previous stroke. So he finally, they had him in the ER from the time that I brought him in until I think somewhere around noon yesterday. And I got him into the hospital about 8:30, 9 o'clock Sunday. And he was in there in the ER, like I said, until about noon or around there yesterday. So he was in there in the ER for more than 12 hours. So they get him to the room. No, it was actually before noon yesterday. It was still 12 hours, but it was before noon, more than 12 hours, but it was before noon yesterday. Because I remember him saying he was in a room and he was hungry. And I said, okay, what happened to breakfast? And they did finally bring him something to eat. And it was actually more like lunch. They brought him something to eat. He could not eat it. So they brought him something else. And he ate that better than he ate anything else. This is something that I've noticed, is that when he has to be in the hospital, his appetite increases. Which I'm grateful for. And I don't know if it increases because he's on his medications the way that he's supposed to be, or what the case is, but his appetite tends to increase when he's in the hospital. But the sad part about that is the hospital does not have good food, so he's sorely disappointed each and every time. But anyway, so they finally came and got him, and it took them literally all day. They came and got him. They told him that they were going to come and get him for his MRI at 6. That didn't happen. At about 6:30, 6:45, they came and got him for a chest x-ray to make certain that he didn't have pneumonia. And then about probably about 7:15, actually about 7:30. Close to 8, they came and finally got him for his MRI. Because the last time I talked to him, I said, okay, when you call me back, you're calling me back to tell me that you just came back from your MRI. That's the next time I want to talk to you. So when he called me back at 8:30, I think it was 8:15, 8:30, he was calling me back to let me know that he was back from his MRI. They finally did it. But he was so frustrated by the fact that it took all day to have that done, and he had been frustrated for a while, but he was so frustrated by it that he was ready to leave. He was ready to leave before they did the MRI, but I told him to stay. I was not coming to get him before the MRI was done, because the MRI is going to give us some of the answers that we need. So when he goes to see his doctor next week, she'll have his MRI results, she'll have his blood work, she'll have his CT scan. And he was actually supposed to see his doctor yesterday, but they moved his appointment prior to all of this happening. They moved his appointment to next week. So the good thing in all of this is now all of that is done. So she'll have this updated information. And see, this is ridiculous. She'll have this updated information, and hopefully we'll be able to give him some answers about what's going on. So yeah, but after it was all said and done, he called me back and said, when he called me back to say that he was back from the MRI, he said, I think I'm going to go ahead and just check myself out now that they've done the test. And I said, okay, well, when you call me back the next time, you're calling me back to let me know what you want to do. So about 30 minutes later, he calls me back and says, okay, so what's up? What do you want me to do? I said, you were supposed to be calling me back to tell me what you wanted to do. And he decided that he did want to get checked out. So he got the nurse. I told her what he wanted. And I started getting myself together so that I can go pick him up. But I told him, I said, whatever you do, please do it before I get out of my clothes and start getting comfortable for bed, because it's going to frustrate me. And this is just me being honest with him. It's going to frustrate me if you decide to check yourself out, and we've been talking about this for an hour plus, and you decide to check yourself out after I have gotten out of my clothing for the day and gotten myself ready for bed. That's going to frustrate me. So please make up your mind before then. And thankfully he did, so I got myself together. And it didn't take as long to release him as it normally does. So I really only had to sit in the parking lot waiting for him maybe 10-15 minutes, maybe. I don't even think it took a whole 15 minutes in all honesty, because I think his nurse I think she was ready for him to leave. So it didn't take very long for him to come on down, and he couldn't have visitors, which was one of the things that was frustrating him. And I couldn't bring him his clothes, so I just had his clothes in the car. So when he came downstairs, he had no shoes, he was in his PJs, and he had the blanket that we always bring with when he has to go to the ER or into the hospital, the comforter that we always have. So that's how he came downstairs, and footies. And he didn't even bother to put any clothes on when he got in the car. He just said, let's just go. So that's what we did. So the husband is home. All of the testing is done. Like I said, we're going to see what his doctor says when we see her next week. And then we had not received our stimulus check. So he went on the website to find out where it was, and sure enough, it was released yesterday, but it was released to an account that we don't have any knowledge of. We have absolutely no knowledge of this account, because if you've gotten a stimulus check, when you go onto the site to check, they'll tell you if they have the information. They'll tell you when it was released and what account it went into. Now, when we got this check back in April, the first one that rolled around, it went to his bank account, and it showed the last 4 digits of his bank account, and we were like, okay, no problem. But this time around, it shows a different last 4 digits, which we don't understand why it went to a different account. When we filed our taxes and got our refund, it went to his account. We got the first stimulus check, it went to his account. So we don't know where this other account came from. So I told him the only thing that I can think of is that it possibly went onto a card, because it was easier for them to do it that way, which I do not understand. But I'm just trying to make some kind of sense about it. And maybe it went onto a card, and we'll see. There was nothing in the mail pertaining to it yesterday, so I know that we didn't get it yesterday. results. So the only thing that it tells us is that we'll get a letter in the mail soon about what is going on. We don't have that kind of time. We actually had some things mapped out for that check. We didn't make any promises on anything, but we had some things mapped out for that check. So we were like, okay, we don't have to use our regular pay to handle these things. We can use this check to do that. And yeah, we can use this check to do that. And then our regular funds that come in every month, we can use for other things, or we can save it. So that's what we were thinking about for the stimulus check. And then I find out yesterday, that's why I said I have an interesting life. As boring as it is quite interesting. I find out yesterday that I am not going to get paid for the time that I was out sick with COVID, which is kind of crazy to me, because the last time that I was sick, waiting for COVID results, I got paid for 10 of those days that I was out. I was out for 15. I got paid for 10 of those 15. Totally different company. This time around, I'm being told that I needed to submit some information to my employer. I'm being told this by my employer, that I needed to submit some information to him so that he could submit it, so that he could pay me for that. And I said to him in my response to him, because I asked him, am I going to get paid? And that was his response. You're not going to get paid for it because you needed to submit some information to me so that I can submit it and get reimbursed for paying you, or something along those lines. So I said to him, that's not a problem. I can give you the information that you need. And had I known this prior to now, I could have provided that to you before, so that I would get paid when I'm supposed to for the 9 days that I was out. He didn't respond to that. He didn't respond to why he didn't say something to me before. No. He only told me to make sure that I get the information to him. So I sent him my test results, and he says, well, can you do a statement? Because I don't want to send them your personal information. Okay, fine. So I write up a statement. And then he says, well, it has to be worded. No, the company name has to be changed. Take this part out of the company name. So I took that part out. And then he says, well, and he said what it needed to say, but all I saw was one thing. So when I sent it back to him, I realized that I didn't do what needed to be done. So I fixed it and sent it to him again. And then he called me and said, no, I need you to take this part out as well, because that's not what my EIN number is under. So I said, okay, fine. So I did what he needed me to do. I sent it to him again. He finally came out of his office after an hour or two and said, and when he came back, he said, oh, by the way, I got the latest one with the corrected information. Good. Now do what needs to be done so that I can get my money, because I've got bills to pay. And again, had I known that you needed this information, I would have sent it to you a long time ago so that I could get paid. Why wouldn't I do it? I don't have anything to hide. When I say that I'm out sick with COVID, I'm out sick with COVID. I got the test results. It shows I was out sick with COVID. Why would, and I, you know what, and I would say, I would ask the question, why would I lie about that? But I know that there's somebody out there that has more than likely lied about having COVID just to get off work. I know there is. But that's just not something I would do. If I say that I'm not coming in because I'm sick, I'm not coming in because I'm sick. If I say that I'm just not coming in, then I'm just not coming in. If I tell you that I have this dreaded COVID-19 coronavirus, I got that dreaded COVID-19 coronavirus, COVID-19. I don't have have a reason to lie about it. So I sent him what he needed. Hopefully I get paid. It'll show up in my next paycheck. But in the meantime, I've got to call the people that I owe and find out what I can do, if anything, or if there's some kind of grace period that they're willing to provide me with, so that I'm not penalized for not paying the bills that need to be paid. So hopefully that all works out. And then the other part of this is that I'm still fiending over this doggone bag that I want, but I'm not going to get it because right now finances are just too iffy with everything that has transpired in the last couple of hours, the last few hours, from me finding out that I wasn't getting paid today to finding out that our stimulus went to an account that we don't have any knowledge of. So it's been an interesting few hours. But I am still grateful to be here. I'm still grateful that I can even say that this stuff is going on in my life. Oh, the other thing that happened yesterday, I opened up my business accounts. I told you guys that. I opened up my business accounts. And I had not received the cards for these accounts. And I have two accounts. One where the money goes in, one where the money comes out. And I'm doing it that way for tax purposes. I want the money to come into one account and then I feed it to another account to pay the bills, strictly pay the bills out of. And then that first account, like I said, the money will come into, but it'll also act like a savings account, because the only money that I will transfer to the other account is the money that will pay the bills. There may be a little bit extra left in there just so that the account doesn't close, but for the most part, it'll be just so that I can pay the bills out of it. So anyway, I didn't get the cards. I had not received the cards. It had been a good 2.5 weeks. So I emailed the banker last week to let him know I had not received the cards. It was before the holiday break, and I didn't get a response from him. So I was like, well, he might be on vacation. So okay, it is what it is. He might be on vacation. And then when I didn't get a response by yesterday morning, I called him about 10 and said, well, if I don't hear back from you about 10, I'll stop in during my lunch to find out what's going on. And literally as I parked the car at the bank, he called me to say what happened. And I said, well, you know what, I just parked, so I'll come on in. He says, I was trying to catch you before you spent your lunchtime. No worries, I'm here now. I'll come on in. So I go in, and it turns out, and he admitted his issue, and I'm grateful that he did. It turns out that there was something that he did not do. And he doesn't even know what it is. He's not even clear on what it is that he didn't do. But it turns out there was something that he did not do that prevented or kept my cards from being sent to me. So I did finally get the email stating that the cards were coming. They were on their way. So I'm excited about that, because hopefully I will get them before this next round of bills need to be paid, so that I can just pay them directly out of directly out of that account, because I don't want to keep paying it out of my personal account. I don't want to keep transferring money from that account to my personal account to get the stuff paid. So hopefully before the next round of bills come through, I'll have the cards so that I can attach the cards to those bills. I want my business to be very cut and dry on paper, so that when it's time for file taxes, it's very clear where the funds went and all of that great stuff. Because as I have said to someone else before, and I've mentioned on here before I really wasn't charging a whole lot, if anything at all, for my services, and God said to me no more. And last year was supposed to make that happen, and towards the end of the year I started getting and I had gotten inquiries before, but towards the end of the year I finally started getting people that really wanted to pay for my services. But for a whole year and some change, I've been paying for the things that I use for my business, such as the Canva, such as the Microsoft, such as Adobe. I've been paying for this stuff, and I have not been using it, filing my taxes with that information on it, so that I could get a refund back for it. That's changing this year. So I wanted to make certain that my expenses are cut and dried and very clear. And so when I give all this information to the accountant, they have what they need to make certain that I get credit for paying for all this stuff. Yeah, because it's no joke to pay for all of this stuff and not have the funds come in that you need to come in. And then, what am I going in here for? And then you don't get anything back for it. You're not getting any credit for it. So that's something I'm trying to change. So yeah, it's been an interesting few hours. Not quite 24, but close to it. Close to it. But yeah, so I'm gonna go in here because it's actually 8:59, but I'm stopping at Sprouts. I don't know why I stopped at Sprouts. I'll probably get some water. So I'm stopping at Sprouts. I'll probably get a salad too, so I can have lunch and I don't have to come outside or buy anything during lunch hour. I can just sit in my car and eat my salad. So yeah, I will talk with you guys later. The video that I did is up. Did I attach it to anything? I did not. The struggle is real. It's up on my pro page. So the video that I made yesterday, the vlog that I made yesterday, I will make sure to have it attached to that vlog for yesterday, so that hopefully by this time you will have seen both of those videos, the one for this channel and the one the struggle is real on my pro channel. So with that, and please go like the videos, go comment on the videos if you must, because you have the ability to do that, and go subscribe. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do. I'd appreciate it. And go to the pro channel, click on the video from yesterday, go watch that video, The Struggle is Real, and like that video and subscribe. And then also share if what I'm providing you is of interest to you and you find it quite interesting, you find it insightful, you find it real, because what I try to do is be my most authentic self and give you me. Now, you don't get 100% of me because I have to hold some things back, but I try to give you who I am. So yeah, go if you like it, if it interests you. Like the videos, subscribe to the channels, and share with other people so that they can glean from this or be entertained by this as well. With that, peace and blessings. Remember to walk in your purpose and know that I appreciate you. I know the lighting is wonky, but the sun is beautiful and I ain't complaining about it.